Today I'm going to talk about how to fly smooth. I'm going to break that down into basically 3 categories. First thing you want to look at is your rates and your basic FPV moves. The second thing I'm going to look at is throttle control. And the third thing is smoothing out your transitions and slowing down your stuff. That's not all there is to flying slow, but those things are basically the 3 most important ones that I can think of. So I'm going to go and demonstrate how I set up rates. Basically, setting up rates to me is all about having my quad predictable. So what I want to do is make sure that my basic moves are repeatable and predictable all the time. When I talk about basic moves, I'm talking about flips, rolls, half flips, half rolls, because those moves are kind of like the building blocks of everything else you do. Those are like your basic building blocks. So there's like the overall max speed of your rates, which a lot of people use. That's just a number though. One part is, yeah, getting all your basic moves correct. So when you do a full roll, it comes out like a full roll. When you do a half roll or a flip, it comes out like a half roll or half flip. So what that looks like is basically bang. I will show the video now. The second aspect to that, after you get that down, is maybe fine-tuning your rate curve. So some people want it more linear and other people want it with a lot more expo. That's like total personal preference. Most important thing is get your overall speed dialed in and then play with your curves, but what you're after ultimately is that consistency. You want a roll to be a roll. You want a half flip to be a half flip. You want a quarter roll to be a quarter roll, half roll to be a half roll, and you want it to be as consistent as possible, because that's where you're going to build all your stuff from in terms of your overall flight or your flow or whatever. The second thing is throttle control. So what you want with throttle control is you don't want to be using too much throttle. You want to be using just enough throttle for every given situation. You don't want to be flying to the moon. You don't want to be going too fast, and you don't want to be ballooning up after moves. Careful throttle control basically lets you put the quad where you want it. So there's the altitude wise thing, so it lets you shoot the quad up as much as you want, but not too much. And the second part of throttle control is recovering from moves. So you're coming out of a move, it means you're not putting too much throttle and then bouncing out of the move. So there's some pretty cool ways to practice throttle control. I'm in a pretty good spot to do that actually. So I'll show you throttle control. And what I'm gonna do for that exercise is I'm gonna use these light posts for like altitude 1, and then I'm gonna practice it more around the trees, which is like the lower altitude, more proximity tight stuff. But I want you to listen to the throttle and what I'm doing as I'm going up, and where I'm placing the quad, and what I'm doing to catch it after I'm done. yeah, basically it's about just the right amount. Not too much, not too little. You just want enough to control things. And you don't want to go too crazy with throttle either. It's easy to pick up too much momentum, and then you're just in a state where you're going too fast for like where you're flying or what the situation is, and then you're gonna like overreact or overcompensate or whatever, because you're gonna panic maybe, or end up somewhere weird and go, oh my god, I gotta get out of it, and then you spaz and you do something you didn't expect to do. So throttle control is a lot also about controlling that whole pace. That kind of gets into the third thing, which is slowing things down. So it's a control over, it's choosing how fast you do stuff and how slow you do stuff. A lot of flying smooth is about doing stuff really slow and really deliberately, and choosing when you want to do a fast move and when you just want to do a really slow move. It's super easy to do, it just takes practice. And another component of slowing things down and smoothing it is controlling your recovery. So when you initiate a move, you can do a slow roll, but a lot of the trick to being smooth is how you finish that roll. So it's really important to have smooth recoveries, not do a roll and stop it really hard or really stiff, unless that's what the look you're going for or what you want. What I try and do is do it really smooth, and when I'm coming back to center, I do it really gradually so that the quad just goes whoa, back to horizon. So I'm going to show the video now for that. Essentially, what I want you to look at is the horizon. So the horizon is one thing to look at, but also the flow. So what you should be noticing is that when I come back to horizon, whether I'm rolling or flipping, it should be smooth, and it should come in nice and gradually, and I shouldn't be overshooting too much. And yeah, that's it. With those three, if you focus on those three basic things and practice it in different environments, it'll hopefully smooth out some of the jitters in your flying and help you fly a little bit smoother. And yeah, it's super easy to do. You know, that's not all there is to it, but those are kind of the fundamentals though. And if you just practice it again and again in the right spot, you just get better at it. Like, that's the most important thing. It's practice, 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 practice until you get it right. And what's right for you is it's going to depend on you. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to talk about it. Get out and just practice the stuff. This is kind of how I approach it. Seems to work for me. I'm not perfect at it. what I'm trying to improve personally is my accuracy. So when I look at my horizons and I do rolls, I overshoot a little bit or undershoot. And yeah, I'm trying to get that more accurate. So when I do a full roll, the horizon comes back where I want. But yeah, everyone's got their thing. I do think though that like these 3 things would help anyone fly a bit smoother, if that's your deal. So demo time now.